They're the liberal rednecks. They like cornbread and butt sex. They care way too much but don't give a fuck. They're the liberal rednecks that makes some people upset, but they got three big old dicks that you can suck.
Fuck. There's probably a fucking nest in here. Anyways, hey, here we are. Trey is having some sort of difficulty and will be joining us soon. But
Not wasp difficulty.
I don't think he's having wasp difficulties. He's having some sort of computer difficulty, which, you know, Jesus Christ, that's gotten really used to all that shit past couple years. Fuck. Okay, that's just a regular bug. Sorry, I'm gonna be a little fucking. What's the term? Is it gun shy or something for a minute? But I'm good.
That's a thing.
I guess.
Gun shy is a thing.
I fucking hate bugs with stingers. With bees, I've always been like, well, you know, they sting, but they make honey and, you know, like pollen and stuff. We need all that, yada, yada. Wasps just seem like
What do wasps do?
they're just dickheads. You know what I mean?
I wonder if we could get a scientist to tell us a list of animals we don't need.
That would be an interesting guest to have on here. Is just like, hey, like, yeah, what are the animals that it's totally okay if we hate or just fucking slaughter, smack against a wall?
Right. Take their area.
Yeah, because like I don't
Area. What's the word?
land, environment,
Ecosystem.
yeah, right. Because like you know, obviously, you know, there's the whole. David Cross used to have a joke like, if a tuna was as cute as a dolphin, you know, we wouldn't be making sandwiches out of them, yada yada, which is true, and I agree with all that. And obviously, you know,
we don't need horses because we want to fuck them.
Right. Yeah. Right. Sure. Exactly. Those things. But like, you know, and sincerely, I even go as far as, this is just me. I'm not sitting here saying that I'm mad at anybody who kills rats, but I try, whenever I have a rat at my house, I do my best to just try to get it outside.
Dude, but the funniest fucking thing that's ever happened that was horrific for everybody but me was Karina got those mouse traps that is sticky.
Yeah.
So you can catch the mice and then let them go.
Yeah.
But like, dude, these are made by some fucking Chinese company. She got it at the Asian grocery there in Queens. Mm-hmm. This was like the highest test glue on the market.
Yeah.
Well, this rat gets one foot stuck, puts another one on there trying to get off. It's like literally starting to rip its own leg off.
Yep. No,
when
I've seen
it. Finds it.
Mm-hmm.
She's freaking out. Gets Andy involved. Andy's freaking out. This mouse is destroying its own body. Screaming.
Yeah.
What? It's screaming. It's freaking out. Of course.
Could you actually hear it? Like,
torture. Yeah. I mean, I wasn't home. I get home, and they're like, "You gotta help. You gotta." I'm like, there is nothing to do. You have tortured a mouse for hours in your failed attempt to like be humane. I walked it outside and stomped it to death.
Yeah, and you did the right thing.
And they were like, ah! And it was like, why would you do that? I was like, why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
No, you made the right call. And I actually had that same experience, which is why now, like, we had a mouse situation for a minute, and Amber got one of those, and I came home to an alive mouse physically. Emotionally, it had been gone for a while. It was like
all of its family, probably.
It was dude. It was like doing the fucking James Franco mountain climber movie gimmick, where like I think it gnawed its arm off. Like one of its arms was fucking off, and it's like And
that's what happened to this one.
Yeah, and I told Amber, I was like, and I took it outside and fucking, you know, curb stomped it, and I told Amber, I was like, Amber, I'm not going to go so far as to be like, I can't believe we're killing these rats, but could you please just get at least the regular trap that like it's fucking instant death. Like I don't want to torture it. But if I had my druthers, I would just like, you know, Pied Piper lead the rats out because, you know,
they don't ones that like close.
Yes.
But they could eventually gnaw their way out of that. You got to get them pretty quickly.
For sure. It's like, my thing is like, I don't I was definitely getting to a point, and I will, but like to a point, what I'm trying to make here is like, the rats aren't doing anything wrong. You know what I mean? They don't know that they're invading my space. Like they're just trying to live. So I'm trying to treat them accordingly. That said, though, fuck bugs. I'll stomp them motherfuckers to death. But like, really, what's the difference? I get one's like a,
I mean, I guess a mammal versus an
yeah,
insect, you could argue there's a difference in terms of their. I've heard people talk about this. It has something to do with the nervous system and the way the equivalent of a bug's brain work. There's like a
yeah,
big question about like what pain is to them.
yeah. If you've got
Like
an
they may not
exoskeleton, I don't
feel
feel
it
bad.
the same
Yeah,
way
yeah.
physically or whatever. I'm sure they get sad when you kill all their family though.
I think it's just like rats are not dogs, but they're close enough to looking like a pet you could have to where it just feels different. Whereas like a bug literally looks like an alien. And I've also seen Starship Troopers enough to be like, ugh, fuck this. You know what I mean? Like,
I think it's pretty inarguable that every mammal I can think of like feels pain on
mm-hmm,
most levels.
mm-hmm.
Definitely physical. Maybe even like like elephants bury their dead and shit. So
They
like
mourn them. Yeah.
yeah, so like
They also
whether
paint.
you're eating or taking care of pests, if you're killing a mammal, you got to kind of just live with the fact that like yeah, you're hurting that
Yeah.
creature.
But
Whereas
back
with a
to,
bug, I think it is up in the air.
yeah. Then like they're fucking exoskeletons, man. Like, them shits are wild. Like, ants being able to lift 10 times their own body weight or whatever. It's like they probably don't feel pain. It's just they're either alive or then they die. You know what I mean? Like
They're all bone. It's like that's what
yeah.
exoskeleton's like, bone, no flesh.
Yeah. So like by the time they would ever experience pain, that thing probably also killed them in an instant,
Mhm.
like probably. But
But I know that like in the animal rights world, there's like pushback against a lot of these claims. My favorite one was, a matter of fact, I think this happened and came up when we went on Dave Smalley's podcast, or maybe we
mm,
had him on ours, and he was saying that PETA was saying that like uh, pescatarians are no better than regular meat eaters because the idea that a fish can't feel pain or fear is silly because a fish's brain is basically equivalent to a chicken. And I was like, okay, I hear that, and I hear it's okay to eat chickens.
right. Yes. Okay.
Like I've
Or
seen the videos of cows crying as they've been being led to slaughter. I totally believe that animal, like when we figure out how to teach animals to talk with brain stuff and computers, all they're going to be saying over and over again is, why are you doing this to us?
yeah, yeah, man, for sure. And also, like, I don't buy into the whole pescatarians are no better than other meat eaters because it's like, I don't know, at the end of the day, they are at least doing it to less groups of animals. Like, I mean, if you had to rank them, it's like, okay, sure, they're still killing an animal, but look at all the cows they're not eating. Like, they're at least better. Like, Dexter was still a murderer, but he was a better murderer than a lot of other murderers.
But his victims deserved it, arguably
So
more
do
than others.
fish. Have you seen them?
That's what I was going to make sure you were following that along, and I agree with you.
Yeah.
Fuck fish. I also, though, I want to say this, and I've argued this like half in jest with my vegetarian friends, mostly Pete, Ravello, but also I think there's something to it. We have this strange, I don't know, egocentric view of consciousness. I totally understand and buy that bugs feel pain differently than mammals. And on that level, I totally
Mm.
get the argument that grass doesn't feel pain, except that, like, how do we know? You go out and you
Right.
cut the grass, that smell, there's just a big internet meme where people are
Yeah.
like, that's just the grass screaming. It's like, that's how they let other grass know danger's coming or whatever.
Yeah. I
Like,
love
there's
to
some
warn the
evidence
grass.
of
What
that.
the fuck is the grass going to do? You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
right. Well, trees excrete certain things to prevent bugs from eating them, and other trees tell them to do that because they can, I'm putting it in quotes, feel that the bugs are eating them. But like, what does that feeling mean? We have no relationship to that process because we have a consciousness that is a central nervous system
Mm-hmm.
that even bugs don't really have.
Right.
But that, like, how else do we define pain though, if not something happens to you physically and you respond in kind?
Yeah. And it don't hit. And yeah.
So I would never completely make the argument, well, you vegetarians are no better than me because you're making the plants cry. But at the same time, a part of existence is making peace with the fact that something has to die for me to live. There is, as far as I know, nothing not alive that I can eat.
Yeah, I mean that's how much of a dickhead I am, I guess, because like whenever they try to lay out the argument to me, like, deer feel pain. I'm like, yeah, I figured. I always assumed if they didn't die immediately, then getting shot through the heart with an arrow probably didn't hit. But
Probably hurts their feelings too.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that's not a good experience. I just don't. I don't know. I'm sure I know that going forward, with like the Impossible Burger and like all that stuff, like, dude, we probably definitely are going to get to a point, maybe towards the end of our lifetimes, where it's like, yeah, now you eating animals is purely just because you want to, because there are other options that taste similar, or blah, 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 blah. But like, I don't know what to say.
I mean, I made a video about it. It did well on TikTok with the children.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be what I get canceled for.
Yeah, right.
Like in the future, is there's going to be a way for us to do that and live. There's going to be no excuse other than I want to, and I'm going to, be marching in the I want to parade and die of a heart attack from cholesterol.
I think though that like genuinely, because my argument now, and this is true, is like they've just started doing this and they're just not caught up yet.
It's lab meat.
Yeah, lab meat. Like, yeah, I'm certain that it's like, oh, this is good enough. Like, good enough might be okay for some people, but I fucking love steak. If there's something that's like, oh, it's not exactly like a Pittsburgh seared filet mignon, but it's good enough to where you can feel morally okay about it. That's not good enough for me. But I do think that I'm the type of person that, like, if they made one and I genuinely couldn't fucking tell, I could get past the whole, like, this was made in a lab, whatever. I think there's some people with our accents that the non-selling point of them is not necessarily just the meat. It's like, I don't want that shit grown in a lab. That scares the fuck out of me. I get that, but like,
it weirds me out a little bit.
Yeah.
My thing with it is not that I'm like terrified of it in general. I just don't want the beta version.
Yeah, that's okay. That's kind of what I'm getting at right there. Yeah, it's like in our lifetimes they're going to make a bunch of advances, but it's going to be like almost, and then the next one is like when it's like, yeah, dude, literally this is a filet mignon, and dude, like you said, you're just making a choice.
Me and Smart Mark were talking about this when we were watching the Super Bowl the other night. Millennials really have just gotten the short end of so many things because we were too late for some stuff and too early for some other stuff.
Yeah,
we were talking about comedy, but then we got into so many other things. Like, I barely know how to use the internet, but I also missed out on being a guy who doesn't need it.
Yep.
Like, if WellRED had popped a decade earlier, like, we wouldn't, like, somebody would be making clips for me.
Exactly.
And I would just be on tour and I would be like, here's a joke I wrote about this city, put that out or whatever.
Yep.
And then if I was a decade later, we either wouldn't have made it or we would have made it entirely via internet stuff. The last decade I've spent getting good at stand-up would have been getting good at the internet. That's just one example. Now, you and I have talked about, though, there are some advantages. We have a few. So the disadvantages are things like the internet, any business that relates to the internet, jobs, housing, like fucking music and culture. Hip hop is the only music that hit for us.
Yeah.
And then we were there for the second golden age of hip hop, in my opinion.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
But some advantages we've had: nudity. We're right in the middle of this. It's wrong, so it excites us. But people like you free, but that it's out nipple. There. Yeah. Yeah. You go ahead and free that nipple. In 3 decades, the nipple will become so free it ain't even titillating anymore. Right. Love that they put the word tit in titillating, by the way. Whoever did that, good job.
Yeah, that's a good call.
It won't be exciting to see a woman's breasts sexually in like 3 decades, probably. I hope.
Sure. Yeah.
But it will be to us.
Yep, exactly.
The dirty old men of the world.
We will have always had it. Like kids nowadays don't know any difference. They don't know anything different than being able to have a subreddit of just GIFs that are nothing but bouncing naked butts. But we remember when that wasn't possible.
Right, but that's still like a porn. I'm talking about just like, it's not that it won't be titillating at all, but it'll just be like men shirtless.
what I meant by that is like in a completely separate thing of not just being titillated, but like when this actually got brought up during my Super Bowl weekend. You know, everybody's buzzed up and playing the like, would you rather, you know, go without feet or go without hands? Just, you know, somebody's throwing out those things or whatever, and then we're deep into it, and somebody's
Hands.
like, would you go without hand? Yeah, yeah, me too. I could get used to prosthetic hands better than I could prosthetic feet. I think. I'm
I don't
pretty
think
sure.
there are such things as. I mean, I guess if you go from the knee down, you could do it, but you can't
Yeah.
walk without feet. I guess I'd have to look into prosthetic feet. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I would too. No, it's fine. And it got brought up to like somebody was like, "Do you remember the first time, like explicitly, the first thing that you jade it to?" You know what I mean? And I was like, yeah. I said a printed out picture of Daisy Fuentes from America's Funniest Home Video. That's how
Yeah.
that's how hard it was to get material to.
Mhm.
So now that we can, we
A
will
wet
never not.
T-shirt contest that didn't show any actual nudity
Yeah,
on
or
late night TV.
or
That was mine.
yeah, you had to sit there and you knew that right after the whatever the last thing on Comedy Central was from 12:15 to 1 a.m. they were going to show Girls Gone Wild promos, and you had like that moment to, you know, recording it, just got to go. But because
You remember waking up to those? Like you fall
oh
asleep with the TV on, and then you wake up to that. And then there was
yes,
like a semester, and that was how time was measured for me at this time of my life,
mm-hmm.
where they were pimping a thing called Guys Gone Wild.
Yeah, I wasn't for that.
So I would like be asleep or pass out watching Comedy Central, and I would wake up and it'd be like, "Do you want to see these jocks bear it all?" And I would like have this fever dream of like, "What?"
It's so funny too how naive I was when all that was going on, because I was like, man, I didn't know that girls were into stuff like that.
I was in college. It only took me about 4 seconds. I was like,
It,
"Girls like,
it
oh."
it took me way longer. It took me way fucking longer. Somebody's like, dude, do you really think Playgirl magazine is for chicks? No, come on, buddy. But my point was is that like our generation remembers a time when you didn't have 24/7 unlimited access to porno in your phone. So we're always going to be elated and never take for granted the fact that we can scroll through these awesome gifs on Reddit. But the generation below us has never known anything different. So it feeds even more into your whole thing of like, yeah, they don't they probably barely even get titillated by a lot of it now, whereas we are just like, oh my
You ever
god.
been to a nude beach or any nudist type situation
Well,
other
with
than the one
you,
we went to?
yeah, okay. Yeah, other than the
Well, that one didn't have any women in it, so it's similar, but it could be potentially different.
yeah, I've never been to a nude. It's not for lack of wanting to go. It's just that I've never just come upon one and been like, oh look, this is
Yeah, there's
happening.
there's probably 20 in our country that are
Yeah,
advertised anyway.
right.
Um,
Where they at?
it goes away. Florida and California mostly.
Mm-hmm.
It goes away.
Yeah,
The sexual aspect of it pretty quickly.
yeah.
There are some exceptions because of some exceptional people, but for the most part, yeah, for the most part, that just stops being sexual.
Mm-hmm.
So it can happen quick because I mean, I'm
Right.
talking 30 minutes or less.
I mean, you know, not that considering I'm not a gay man, there was never anything sexual about it to me when we did G and I, but at the same time, the awkwardness aspect was kind of gone within the same time frame, which I would, you know, definitely consider the same. Like it really was wild. Like I'm like, oh man, I'm necking in front of all these dudes who were also naked, and it was just like, yeah, but oh, now we all are. So like, I think really what I need is like, you see like 2 or 3 dicks that are the same size as yours, and you're like, right on, that's what we're doing. Okay,
That's a big part of it. And then I also, for me, think it was. Oh, and also these guys are judging me, but I don't care. Like
right,
without the gaze of a woman, like there felt to me like there was less shame because there was no, I don't know, whatever that is. I'm sure there's women listening like, oh yeah, you felt less judged because there was
yeah.
no one of the opposite sex around. Well, good for you.
Yeah, accurate. And yeah, I mean, like obviously, I'm not in the dating world anymore. I'm a happily married man, but like, you still that whole I want all the women to think I hit doesn't really go fully away. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
just because you're married or in a relationship. I think
Yeah,
it might go away when you get old. I
prob
hope it does. I hope
it.
it all goes away.
I mean, look, man. If just the old men I know are enough evidence, I would suggest that it fucking it pretty well, it pretty well fucking goes away.
Well, it's interesting too because I think a lot about that stuff when you think about like, not dressing up for anybody else or not living your life for anybody else, not posting anything for anybody else, not like trying to do what you want to do. But then I got down another layer of that and thinking a lot about it. And it's like, but this is what people want to do. Like if you see people go like, I used to dress up for men and now I don't care anymore. It's like, but you did then. You
Right.
did like what you wanted in your life was men to pay attention to you. So
Mhm.
even then you were doing what you wanted. Like the idea that back then you were letting somebody else dictate your life. It's like, well, no, that's what you wanted at that time.
Yeah, I've talked to my sister and Amber about this because I used to have a joke like way back. I mean, we're talking like 10, 12 years ago about women wearing high heels and stilettos and these like uncomfortable shoes. And like the reason I know they're uncomfortable is because they constantly were talking about how uncomfortable their shoes were. And I was in the bid, I was like, do you understand that men will, one of those like, men will fuck you in a pair of Asics. Like, we don't care. And then the end of it was like, by the way, you don't even have to have feet, and I went through this whole fucking thing. And it always worked. But I remember one time I was like doing that bit and my sister was there and she was like, hey, that really is a funny joke. But like, you understand that like, we know that we're not wearing them for y'all. We're wearing them for other women. And I was
The
like, well, that's
boss.
fucking silly too.
All the girls walk by dressed up for each other.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the boss or is that Van Morrison?
Trying to think of the song.
Walk by dressed up for each other. Come on out and dance. Is it come on out and
Come
dance? Come
on
on out and
out
make
and
love?
dance. It is Van Morrison. Come on out and dance. Yeah, you right. Hey, speaking of the boss, him and Mellencamp are about to put out an album together. I heard the first single yesterday. It's pretty fucking tight.
That's wild. Weren't they like made to be rivals by the media back in the
Kinda.
day?
Yeah, kinda. And I was listening to John Cougar. Why is it? I don't know what he is now, but it's John Cougar Mellencamp to me. I'm not. I don't think you can dead name the guy. I don't think that's the same fucking thing. So he's fucking.
No, he was ashamed of his family. No, I don't think that's what it was.
Was it?
I
Oh,
think what
okay.
happened was, I think he was John Cougar because he thought it sounded cool,
Yeah,
and then
it does.
his dad was like, "That hurts my feelings."
Oh,
And then he
really?
was like, "All right, I'll be John Cougar Mellencamp then."
Okay. John Cougar Mellencamp sounds pretty fucking badass. Yeah, I was listening to him being interviewed by Steve Earle. And they apparently what happened, they got together and they just started fucking around and writing. And anyways, and he's like, yeah, and we just finished a painting together that's this big, huge, like 40 by 20 fucking foot painting or some shit. And
Are they a
it's
bromance now?
I know it sounds like it. And
Dude,
Steve
that'd be
was
a
like,
way better podcast than that fucking Bruce Springsteen Obama bullshit.
I've
Not that
never
I have
heard
anything against the idea of that happening. It's just like that had to have been so. What's the word I'm looking for?
up your own ass.
Well, and like there wasn't nothing honest about. The idea of a podcast is you just kind of hang out and talk. There's no way it wasn't like very premeditated.
Right.
Whereas John Cougar Mellencamp and the boss, who knows? Episode 6, they might get in a huge fight.
Yeah, yeah. But John Cougar Milk was talking about how they just finished this painting together, and Steve Earle was like, "Oh man, right on. I know that you paint all the time, but I didn't know that Bruce painted." And he goes, "He don't at all. He doesn't. He does not paint. But he helped me with this painting. We're about to auction it off." Anyways, that's how I found out they had a new album, and then they played the single, and like, I mean, I'm fucking in. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
just pause for a second. Let's go back here. So what you're saying is that John Cougar Mellencamp painted something, and in order to get it sold, his buddy Bruce allowed him to put his name on it.
He just like put his hand in some paint and went, "There you go.
There you go. This is by the first
New
painting
Jersey's
by Bruce
depressing."
Springsteen.
Yeah.
What was
So
their beef about? I know, like, they made similar music, but was it that like John Cougar Mellencamp is actually like comes from a working class background and Bruce don't?
I don't know. I mean, me personally, I don't know if they ever actually had any, or if it was just one of those like literally the media just fed into America's like natural obsession with being binary on something. It's like, well, if
Christina and Brittany.
yeah, it's like, well, we can't just like we can't just like stuff. We have to like one thing more than the other. So like if you're, if someone's like, I love Bruce Springsteen. What? No, John Cougar Mellencamp. And it's like, oh yeah, no, him too. But like, well, so I mean, I genuinely have no idea. It could be anything, or like they genuinely could have had some fucking songwriting beef. I don't know, but they don't know more. I don't know how much there is. I know with comedians, that's a thing, because of like, oh, he stole my bit or he's ripping off my act or whatever. I don't know how much that is in music. They're definitely like, they are a similar.
Yeah, it's got to be a similar thing. It's got to be that when, for lack of a better word, the brand is so specific with what they were doing. But it's also that music's been around so long. I guess it was different back then, but it feels like so silly to be like claiming you're ripped off in music, because it's like you're not doing anything different. Like you do something different by making it sound different. But as far as like your angle or your lane, there ain't nothing new in music. It ain't been in a long time.
I agree.
Probably since rap. Probably since the beginning of rap.
Agreed. And on that note, let's take a quick break. Hey, we're back on the WellRED podcast, and we are joined by the Don Dada himself, the OG liberal redneck. Thank you so much for gracing us with your presence, Mr. Trey Crowder, everybody.
Yeah, I can't believe we got him on the podcast. This is exciting.
This is great. You got anything to plug?
No.
Okay.
No, nothing hits. Yeah, sorry. I don't know. Sometimes your computer just poop.
Yeah. Yes.
My computer just pooped.
Mine does a thing where it will wait until I have like a really important meeting. Usually it's always like, oh, just the WellRED podcast. I'm ready and willing. But then if it's like, hey, y'all got a call with Fox, my computer will be like, hey, man, you need all new software, like all of it. It sucks.
Yeah. So that's what had happened here. So what are y'all talking about?
We were just talking about Drew. What were you just made a point, and then I threw to a break.
We've been talking about beefs in music and beefs in comedy. We were talking about John Cougar Mellencamp and the Boss. Apparently, they're doing an album together, but we're pretty sure they used to be either rivals or perhaps media created a narrative pretending they were rivals. We've also been talking about mammals and bugs and plants and people eating all those things and having different feelings about the morality of eating something that can feel pain. I think that covers most of it.
Okay. Well, I woke up at like 2 a.m. the other night and made a note. This is so Raven. Like this is. I made a note. I was like, we should talk about this on the podcast, right? And so I made a note of it. And you'd think that like it would be completely incomprehensible the next day or whatever.
Yeah, it's a halibut moment.
Yeah, right. But it's not incomprehensible, but it's very Raven the way that I termed it. And then I forgot about it for 2 or 3 days and then read it again today. And I was like, I couldn't believe that I still remembered what I meant, but I still termed it Ravenly. And what I wrote down was the vicious luck of uncertain circumstances.
Jesus. Oh, is that that's your fucking special name is what.
Yeah. And I also wrote another one that was my crazy and unpleasant lucid dreaming lately. 2 separate categories, but that one's pretty straightforward.
Those both sound like they could have been the alternative title to Birdman.
Yeah, right. Yes. Well, the first thing is just I don't know why I was thinking about it in the middle of the night when I think I just woke up and was like, oh, we should talk about that on the podcast because it's been texted about in the thread recently, but just like because of Matt Stafford and winning the Super Bowl, and we were talking about how like just depending on how high level of a view you take of everything, your circumstances in life or just the sort of just fortune or luck or however you want to put it amounts to like almost all of personal success. And like, so I brought it up and I was talking about just, Matt Stafford got drafted by the Detroit Lions and he was with the Detroit Lions, who are an inept franchise for 12 years and did nothing ever. They went to the playoffs like twice while he was there. And they didn't win a playoff game his whole time there. He leaves, he goes to the Los Angeles Rams, who admittedly are stacked, but I'm saying he goes to a good team. And literally the very first year outside of Detroit, he wins the Super Bowl. And it's just like, So we were texting, like, imagine how many guys like came and went in the NFL and you never heard about them because they got drafted by a coach that didn't know how to use them or didn't like them or whatever, and then vice versa, people that ended up in ideal circumstances. Like, I know we were talking about this with cousin Matt Stafford earlier in the year, and Corey was like, if Michael Strahan hadn't been drafted by the New York Giants, he wouldn't be hosting Good Morning America right now. And I believe that 100% to be true. And that stuff's just wild to think about. So I said that, and that's sort of as much as I meant. But then smart Mark was, he said in pretty typical Mark fashion, I thought, he was like, yeah, dude, fucking Matt Stafford is born the same guy in Mongolia. He's just some dude that can throw a goat really far, or whatever. Nobody gives a shit, and it doesn't matter what he can do. And then I started thinking about like and other people have pointed this out, all the like Albert Einsteins who were born in hovels in Jakarta or whatever, and like that's happened innumerable times over the course of human history. And that shit's just really wild to think about. Like when you think about it like that, it's almost all luck at a certain point.
Man.
Do you remember that linebacker that played at Ohio State? I think his name was Katsamoya. It was a Polish last name, bald guy, white guy. He was the highest drafted linebacker in a long time. He got drafted as soon as he was eligible for the draft. This was when we were young. He essentially was a bust. He had a great rookie year, and then what happened was they tried to teach him the plays, and he was too dumb to do it. But he had a famous interview where he said that growing up in Poland on his block, he was the 6th or 7th best athlete of his age and size, but that those kids didn't move to America.
Right.
And he's like, and one of them did become a professional soccer player and is richer than me, but the other ones, what happened to them? I don't know. Probably they went to prison because he grew up like he was in a real poor situation, supposedly, So yeah, it's super, super wild to think about the circumstances of anybody's life being what dictates a lot of it. And I think that the fear of that, like the kind of subconscious knowledge that people have of that, is what drives all this grind culture bullshit and all these motivational speakers. What they're selling is the idea to people that you have control over that stuff.
Right.
Or you have more control than you think.
Yep. I 100% agree with that.
Well,
like it's like, if you just grind real hard, if you just work real hard, you will end up hitting. It's like, no, you might not.
You might not.
Very possibly might not.
We're also talking about the American dream, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's literally all it is. It's like, yes, dude. Now here's the deal. Like, in order, like a dude like Matthew Stafford or whatever, like, yes, you still aren't going to ever be an NFL quarterback without the hard work. Like that's also, but
there's probably 100 Staffords a year
and
born.
And also, it's not good for a poor person to just be like, oh, well, I was born poor, so therefore I may as well not even try. However, the whole like, no, all you have to do is work hard and everything will come true is more bullshit than any of that. But
I think if you're not working hard, if you ever do get a lucky break, if you're not working hard, it ain't going to pan out. But
yes,
but I don't think that everyone's going to get a lucky break. Most people, in fact, are not.
Well, that's what Whoopi told us that time. I won't say her last name. I don't want to seem like we're name dropping, but Whoopi was basically like, she's like, yeah, every in this business you have to have luck, but the ones who make it are the ones that busted their ass so hard that when that luck comes, they were prepared for it. Like you have to be prepared for what to do once you get the lucky break. So like, again, Tom Brady, you can't just luck your way into 7 Super Bowls in the career he has, but like, coming from a good family helps. Being able to go to college, that helps. Like there's somebody that was born in a gutter who has the same work ethic as Tom Brady, and we'll never fucking hear about him.
There's a guy I follow on Twitter who's a comedian named Jake Flores.
Who like Pod Save America or
Pod Damn America.
The better one. Yeah,
and it's that's how he makes his living now. He was supposed to be on Come Town, and something happened. It's like a famous story in that world. So he ought to be a millionaire because everyone on that show is a millionaire now. But anyway, he tweeted something the other day, and it was something like, Yeah, to really make in this business, you got to be born cute and to a father who committed war crimes and made $1 billion off of it. And what was so funny was I thought I knew who he was subtweeting. And then he put like in a reply, everyone's coming back at me. This could be about 6 people. And then I read all the replies, and there were at least 7 people offered up by the fans or the repliers of like who he was talking about. And I started thinking about all of them. The ones I knew, I was like, oh, that could apply to them. And that could apply to them. Oh, and that could apply to them. And it's like, wow. Now, obviously, some of these people that they were mentioning, I mean, the one that is always brought up is Julia Louis-Dreyfus. We've talked about her on the podcast. Incredibly talented.
Yeah.
Like the point here is not that these people aren't incredibly talented. It's just that like it's not a coincidence that a certain percentage of even in our world where it does require so much talent of these people are born rich. Nick Kroll was one that came up, who I think is very talented. Apparently his dad is super rich and does fucked up things. Rosebud Baker is making it right now. A big part of her whole thing is acknowledging one of the Bush people is her godfather. So like her whole thing is acknowledging all that. But
yeah, I'm fine with it. It's like good. Those people should go into the arts and do something that doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like fucking Julia Louis-Dreyfus, she could. What if she wanted to be a school teacher? Then everybody be like, see, she's taking a spot from a girl that actually needs that. You know what I mean? At least in the arts, it's like, we're all just fucking around.
Nobody would be mad at her for taking a teacher's spot. Maybe
you never know. One teacher that didn't get that job and was like, God damn it, she's got $1 billion. She doesn't need this shit. Might, you know what I'm saying? Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
But if any of us were born in Mongolia, we'd all have to be some kind of shepherd or farmer. I mean, that's probably very reductive and slightly racist to say about a country. But just statistically speaking, we definitely wouldn't be on a podcast talking about Matthew Stafford right now.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, right. Dude, I'm one of the luckiest motherfuckers that has ever lived. So, you know, I just do my fart stuff and go on about my day.
Well, also, this is a weird, like a kind of pedantic way to look at it. But also, we're often comparing other people who are lucky, too. It's like, man, if she wasn't born rich, I don't know if she'd be in a movie. It would be this other girl who was born really hot and smart. You know what I mean?
Right. Yes. Yeah, for sure. But like Julia Louis is one that like, you know, there's plenty of people that like all they got is I had a lot of opportunities and rich parents part, and they do kind of just coast the Kardashians. At least she does clearly put the goddamn work in. So like, what was she supposed to do? Just sit at home?
Man, I hate the Kardashians, but I got to give them their props. I think they invented a thing, or at least perfected the thing Paris Hilton invented. Like, they're like, if you look at the most followed people on Instagram, that family, 3 or 4 of them are in the top 20.
That's no, I know. I'm just, you know, their skill is they don't not have a skill. Their skill is they know how to market themselves and they know how to be controversial and drama. Yeah, I guess you know what
but even them, like they were born to this family in this region and were right for they happened to be in the right place at the right time as far as reality TV and what that ended up being and being at the forefront of it and whatever 100%. Else. And also she sucked a wiener on camera or whatever, which raised the profile and whatnot. But like the stars aligned for them.
Yeah. OJ literally murdered a person and this has all happened.
Right. Well, how many women have sucked wieners and not gotten what those ladies have gotten? I mean, it's clearly a little bit of luck.
Most of them. Yeah, it's a lot of luck. Yeah,
we've been watching The Deuce on HBO, and there's a woman
Galifianakis.
Galifianakis is not in that. I don't think.
Oh, he's not.
No, you're talking about, isn't it Franco and
them?
Maggie
it's
Gyllenhaal.
A show about whores and porn stars at Times Square back before they cleaned it up.
Is it hit?
It hits real hard. One of the main women, she plays a 20-year-old college student, and I was looking at her, and she looks young, but you could tell she's not. So I was just like, I wonder how old she is. She's 37 playing a 20-year-old, and she's Russian, and she mostly hides her accent, but it comes out every once in a while. And, like, she's a good actor, but I'm like, she knows somebody. I don't know what her family had dirt on who or what it was, but, like, that you're opposite Franco on HBO. I don't care if you're a good actor. You're playing an American 20-year-old and you're a 37-year-old Russian. Something wild.
Is she supposed to be like a super hot American 20-year-old?
And she is.
Yeah, right.
Many of those.
I guess the only thing was they're like, yeah, well, you know, if you look at pictures of people in the 20s, they all looked older, so it's going to play, you know.
This is like the late 70s, and I hear you, but that's not how Hollywood works.
No, yeah, you're right. No, I know you're 100%. This. Why did I think the show took place in the 20s? Because you said 20s, and yeah, okay, I'm an idiot.
She's
Um,
20.
yeah,
Literally, not in her 20s. The character is 20.
No, you're right. I mean, dude, that is not how Hollywood fucking works, man. Like we've talked about this probably on pod before, but like, I mean, some of it's like you can't even deny it when it's like, dude, what's the last thing Michelle Pfeiffer did? Look at Meg Ryan. We're talking about actresses who were like the it thing, and then when they got a certain age, it was just fucking over. And then there's dudes who didn't even come close to sniffing how hard either one of them hit, who stay Buscemi, for the love of God. I love Steve Buscemi and he's great, but the man looked like a foot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you're in it.
They are two different roles that they were playing. They were playing leading ladies. Yes.
Right. I'm about to say you need to compare them to other leading men. What you're saying is still true, but I just wouldn't use Buscemi as the comparison.
Yeah, you're right.
Character actor, and there's actresses like famous character actress Margot Martindale, for example. Yeah. But there's still more, dude. It's still true, no matter how you frame it. I'm just saying, if you talk about Meg Ryan and them, it should be like, I don't know, Billy Crudup, who super hits for me. He's fucking awesome. But
do you think that like some of these, like Meg Ryan and Michelle Pfeiffer, just refuse to play any role aside from the leading lady, and therefore that's why they weren't doing a lot of work? Or do you think people refuse to cast them in anything other than the leading lady?
I don't know. I have no idea.
I think, goddamn, why is the most famous woman in Hollywood's name escaping me?
The lady, the president?
No, the president in Don't Look Up.
Oh, Meryl Streep.
Yeah. I think Meryl Streep is taking literally every single role. She has 4 movies a year, and they just can't get any.
Yeah, and that's the thing. There's only that many female characters being written that are leading. Yeah, you're right. Because usually I could see them people being like, I'm not playing the goddamn... I'm only the leading lady because I'm the romantic interest of the dude who the movie's really about. Again, I'm just not doing it. You know,
yeah. That's going to limit your options.
No, I know. Sure. No, I know. I mean,
that tag.
No, I know. And that's my point, is that it clearly has, but I could see that.
There's clearly a longer shelf life for leading men, but doesn't it cut the other way to a certain extent in that you can't make it as a leading man until you're about 33? Clooney, even Brad Pitt was a leading man, but in a very different type of role than he gets now.
Yeah, I do think you're right about that too. It seems like women, they
always cast the older dude with a younger woman.
Ingenues, like you got to hit real hard as a woman. You better be doing it by the time you're 20. By the time you're 22, what?
Did you dream that word too?
No, that's a real word. That's what they are.
They're all real words that you wrote down on your piece of paper.
Well, anyway, but with dudes, it's rare. It's more rare for them to hit that hard at like that young of an age, like Tom Holland or some shit. And he was literally playing a teenager. You know what I mean?
Yeah. DiCaprio had to play teenagers to do it too.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
When he first came out, he was playing teenagers as a 24-year-old or whatever.
How old was he in Titanic?
I don't know. Hoop Dreams was the first one, and he played a 14-year-old.
Basketball Diaries.
Basketball Diaries. Hoop Dreams was the actual documentary that's on HBO.
Yeah.
Is Basketball Diaries good? I never saw it.
It's fucking wild. It's fucked up.
Wild as hell, dude.
What do you mean wild? Like how?
Like abuse, like abuse and stuff.
Yeah, sexual, like he get nature. Like yeah, it's different. I can watch a kid get beat. I mean, not that sounded horrible. I don't want to. I'm just saying, like, I can watch that. And
Trey froze, looking so bored at that comment. Like you just froze in a normal way, but like Corey was like, "I watched a kid get beat," and you were.
I in no way meant that I'm okay with kids getting beat at all. I'm just saying that is a different thing. Like in a movie, if a movie's about sexual abuse, I'm going to have to be in a specific mood to watch it. But if it's just about a kid getting his ass whooped, I can deal with it. And then, does that make sense? It
makes sense to me, but I don't want to talk about kids getting beat anymore.
I don't either. I'm just saying, like,
Trey.
Yeah.
Trey, I have a question for you. This came up earlier, and I really want your opinion on it. Corey and I were talking about when lab-grown meat becomes a thing that is pretty common and available and all that. And it's like the moral and environmental thing to do. Will you do it?
Dude,
how close does it have to be?
And I'm not listen, this is fine. But before the pandemic happened, we had to stop touring. I had a whole bit about
remember
how
that.
I couldn't wait to eat lab grown meat. And it
But
was like,
instead of, we're asking, will you replace it? And
yeah,
how good does
I
it
don't
have
give
to
a fuck.
be?
Well, I mean, if it hits
It's
exactly
it,
as
yes.
hard, then
Okay,
yes,
That's what I
in a
said.
heartbeat.
What if
Won't
it's an
bother
8 to
me at
10
all.
comparison?
Do what?
What if it's 80% as good?
Mm-mm.
20% off is a long way off, I would
It
argue.
is,
Like,
dude. If it's
that's
like if we're
dollar store meat versus,
dude,
actual hitting meat is a 20% difference, I would say.
Yeah,
a 20% discount in the store is a big deal.
I'd love to hear a vegan who only dates guys over 6 foot tall call
Yeah.
bullshit on you on that.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, take away 20% of that guy's dick. See what happens.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I fucking
But no, assuming that they can replicate it exactly, it won't bother me at all. And the whole point of the bit was like, the shit I eat already. Like, you think I give a fuck what I'm eating? Like, I can't wait to eat some fucking, science meat or whatever.
I think if it's 80 or 90, I'll do it like in spaghetti, because I already do that a little bit with turkey. Like, spaghetti turkey ain't as good, but they told me it's better for me, so I do it sometimes.
I mean, dude, I'll eat that. I've eaten that the Impossible whatever, the fake ground meat.
Yeah, it ain't bad, but it blows my guts up.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I feel like it's fine. Like, I could definitely eat that in spaghetti or chili or whatever, and it already don't bother me. So I mean, yeah. But I thought we were more talking about like a lab grown steak or a big pork chop or something like that. And it's like, that's the shit that I'm gonna need it to be the same in order for me to slide that. Ground beef, yeah, surely they can approximate that closely enough for me to make my fucking hamburger helper with,
Right. Well, this is probably already a part of your bit. This was definitely the tenor of it. But like Taco Bell's ground beef,
Taco Bell's in
it's
there.
already been suspect for a minute.
That was one of the examples I used was Taco Bell's meat for sure.
Yeah.
But
speaking of things that are 20% off, let's take a break real quick.
All right.
Yeah, I'm with you on that turkey meat mess. Like, turkey bacon is genuinely, I could, like, if my doctor right now was like, hey man, I'm sorry, but like your cholesterol, I could be like, okay, well, turkey bacon's pretty good. Like, it's definitely not, it's not the fucking same, but it's pretty good and it's okay. But like, I look at certain things like, people are like, oh, I'm losing weight because like when I get a craving for pasta, I just use zoodles instead. And my whole thing on that has always been like, I genuinely do like zoodles, but that's because I like zucchini. But I'm eating that and I'm going, this is a different thing.
100%. It ain't even close to the same thing,
it's not filling the void that pasta is going to fill for me. Like, if I need
God-sized hole in my heart cannot be put in
been
with
putting
zucchini.
pasta into it for 30 goddamn years.
Yeah.
Baby.
Well,
still there, but I need to pour more pasta into it.
But we trying.
We trying. Yeah.
But like, I can.
Don't stop trying.
Yeah, but I'm
That's
just
what
saying,
a man
like,
dies, is when he gives up.
Yeah, like I just tell Amber all the time, like, look, if I'm craving pasta, literally the only thing that's gonna do is pasta. But I fucking, like, throughout the week, if Amber was just like, hey, I'm gonna make some zoodles and meat sauce, I'd be like, hell yeah, rip it up, because I like fucking zucchini. But like, it's way different,
I made pasta for Andy last night for Valentine's Day.
Oh yeah, let's talk about what we did.
The good husbands out there. Mm-hmm. And I had a plate, and I was like, yeah, that's good. I did good, because spaghetti specifically with meatballs or bolognese is my thing that I just can't sit down to watch the Deuce. She went to pee, didn't even get through one episode, and my ass was back in there. Like, I was like, oh, I did good this time, and I ate 4 fucking helpings. Was also making spaghetti sandwiches, which I ain't done in years. God damn, I love a spaghetti sandwich.
They're so good.
I bet I ate 2,000 calories last night.
That's what's up.
It was what's up.
Me too. I definitely did.
My hands are a little numb, but I feel really good.
They're numb? Is it?
Yeah, they tingle. It happens to me when I eat a lot of carbs. I'm not sure what it is, and I've never asked a doctor.
I wouldn't. I don't want to know.
Some of them substitutes are bullshit too. Like, I used to have more examples in this, but I remember when I first started dating Katie, she was like a fucking personal trainer and fitness competitor and stuff. She was hardcore about all that shit, and she introduced me to a lot of that stuff for the first time. And at first I was blown away by some of it. The only one I can remember for sure is like she would use this thing called liquid amino acids, right?
Yeah.
Which are substitute. And she's like, you substitute this for soy sauce. And I was
Yeah.
like, it ain't nothing hits like soy sauce, right? And then I tried it and I was like, that literally tastes exactly like soy sauce.
It does.
And
Yeah.
it blew
What's
my
the
mind.
advantage? Just less
Less
salt?
sodium. I
It's
think.
supposed to be it's just better but what I'm saying is it's not. Those are complete fucking bullshit. If you actually look at like what's on the back of it, the way they get you with those is they fuck with the portions so much that it like changes what
a serving size is. And
yeah, right. And what the
Yeah.
numbers are. And it's really no fucking better for you. And there's a lot of things that are like that. It's like, or there's so many different kinds of protein bars that's just like, this is just a candy bar
Yes.
that has like protein in it or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Like Snickers has 10 grams. Hell.
but it ain't good for you. Like
Right.
there's
Still sugar.
so many of those things out there like that are just total horse shit, actually.
me tell you.
So you gotta like really watch it. It's just like, dude, at the end of the day, it's like fucking broccoli and chicken breast or fucking whitefish or egg whites or like things like that, like
Yeah.
you trying to like replicate anything that hits with something that like is supposed
Don't
to hit
hit.
the same but hits harder. That ain't gonna hit
Well,
ultimately.
you got to really like meat. Getting back to the lab meat, like if you're going to try to do it right and clean, you just got to like meat and broccoli. Like that's how that's the secret is learn to enjoy whitefish and a lean steak.
Yeah, I mean that's a cheat code for me. Is I genuinely do like all that stuff. But is there a replacement that y'all found like, oh, actually this surprisingly hits harder for me? Does that happen to you?
No,
I've got
I
one.
think regular Greek yogurt is like it ain't as good. It's very close to sour cream, but like I don't think it's actually all that different from fucking sour cream at the end of the day, despite what people say. So, no, I can't think of anything. I might be forgetting something.
I think when I put hedonism in place of God, that was way
There you
better.
go.
Heard that. Mine is and I don't know in terms of calories or any other health if it's any better either, because I also know that vegan is not a synonym for healthy. But when I did that little experiment where I tried to go vegan for 2 weeks, which I did, I ended up finding that vegan cream cheese I like better than regular cream cheese.
What was it, almond cheese?
It's something it's like coconut. There is one that's almond cheese, but this specific brand, and this is not a plug, but I think it's called Violife or something. I still to this day exclusively get that instead of cream cheese. Like now, if I was making like a cream cheese dip or something, I don't know, but like sometimes I just like as a snack a little tiny smear of cream cheese on a whole wheat cracker, and that fucking cream cheese to me is better than regular cream cheese. It tastes better, the consistency's better. I just fucking like it. So like I buy vegan cream cheese, but I'm not fucking vegan. I just found that and I'm like, that hits harder.
Yeah, no, I ain't got nothing like that. I don't know, and I've never. That's like, I believe you because I know how you be, especially with both creams and cheeses. But like that's hard for me to believe just hearing that. But I've never tried.
I know. No, it both
cream cheese just hits so hard that
I agree.
But
I like oat milk better than milk in most things other than cereal.
I love oat milk. You don't like it in cereal?
I like milk better in cereal.
Yeah,
I do like it in cereal, but it's a replacement for milk in every other way.
Better in coffee. Yeah,
it's so much better in coffee. It's not even
I agree.
close.
The consistency's fucking awesome.
I mean, is it better for you? I don't know. But
I mean, I think so. It's just water and oats. You know what I mean?
Ain't even making her own. It's hitting for me.
It's definitely better for. And again, for the record, if you're out there, I don't give a fuck. I drink milk. But like it has to be better for the environment, just because like you're not.
If you're making it yourself, probably.
Yeah.
Some of those produce like almond milk. Apparently, is horrible.
It's terrible.
It is.
Yeah,
it's
like water. It's a water usage thing. It's like it takes a shitload of water to make one almond tree or whatever, and it takes a fuck ton of almonds to make one thing of almond milk. So that's really bad.
I do make my own oat milk though, because I make overnight oats, and like that you just end up getting oat milk because of that. And I didn't realize that. I was like, oh shit. I'm making overnight oats, and the byproduct of that is like you pour that out, and that's fucking oat milk. And so, like, yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm doing it, the right way. But again, these are not because I give a shit. It's that oats are a very good pre-workout situation, and I just made it myself. And then I was like, oh, look at that, fucking oat milk. Look at you, buddy. That's awesome.
I ain't never fucked with oats. I don't know if I resented them. It's just like, this is just gruel. I know what this is. This is porridge. This is peasant food. Trying to, I don't have to eat this shit. No, that literally.
But
never
what about
entered
when
my
you were a
mind.
peasant?
No, I know. That's what I'm saying.
It's funny how poor is in the
That
word
never
porridge.
factored
I know.
in. I just didn't like it.
I love oats.
All the names for like poor people food are like porridge is a funny name for that. But dude, gruel. That's so funny. That
do you think
give them gruel?
And
That's
even
what they get.
things taste rich. That has
That's
meaning,
true.
and it's like,
oh, there's a lot of that's rich.
Decadent things that are decadent.
Mhm.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I'm only saying this just because I mentioned it earlier, and I'm sure people are on the edge of their seats. Not true at all. But like, do y'all ever have, lucid dreams, dreaming, you're dreaming. Do you ever have one that's super don't hit and also you can't escape it? Okay. Well, see, dude, for a long time, and it's always been rare, always, but for a long time, anytime I would dream lucidly, I could be like, oh shit, I'm dreaming. And then I could do whatever I want. Like I could fly if I wanted to in a lucid dream. But lately, that ain't been happening. It's just been like, this is a dream. This don't hit. I want this to be over. I'm gonna wake up, and then I can't wake up, or I do wake up, but I'm still in a dream, and I don't know it for a second. And then I realize, like, God damn it, I'm still dreaming, but I can't actually wake up. And like I have this odd. I start to have this odd experience, this odd sensation that I literally can't describe. But it's like it's almost like I don't know, like a nervy buzzing type of thing or something that I feel like is like a side effect of my brain fighting itself or something. I don't know what the fuck is going on, but like it don't happen to me that often, but it happened the night I made this note a couple of nights ago, and it fucking sucks whenever it does.
It's anxiety, man. Because
it's anxiety.
When I was like going through the worst part of it, like I would go through that stuff kind of like when I was awake, and that buzz you're talking about. I remember one particular day I had panic attacks most of the night, and then I had slept kind of, but then had those lucid dreams where I knew I was dreaming, but I couldn't wake up, and there was a demon and all that. I could feel that shit the whole day the next day. It's the worst.
Yeah, it's kind of like the way I feel about it is like, when people are really hungover and they're like, God, my head's in a vice right now. I'm like, my whole body's in a vice. You know what I mean? It's not like a flu-like muscle pain. It's just a general tightness and feeling of just like being in it's like, I'm like in a fucking casket and I can't get out and everything's I'm just kind of like, and like, I get that. So I'll just have a dream and I'm like, I got anxiety in the dream and I'm like, well, fucking, my whole day's going to suck. I get sleep paralysis though, too. So like, maybe you ever get, we talked about that, right?
We have talked about it. No, I've never got that.
I got paralysis.
I got so drunk and high once in college that I couldn't move.
Been there.
Literally couldn't move. No matter, I wanted to so bad and couldn't do it. But I don't think that's the same thing as sleep paralysis.
No, that's just being fucked up.
Yeah. But that didn't hit either. But yeah, no, I don't know. I've always we've talked about this before. I could count on one hand the number of times that I believe I've experienced anxiety, and it's like it feels like I'm about to freak out. But I never have freaked out. But I'm like, this is what anxiety is. In my head, that's what anxiety is. I don't have that feeling any other time. So that's why I always say it's like, I don't really have anxiety problems. Of course, I have depression problems and I worry about things, but I don't feel that sensation ever, usually, very, very, very rarely. So but
there's a lot going on lately.
Yeah, but I'm saying if I'm not feeling that, I don't interpret things as being anxiety is what I'm trying to say.
Sure.
Because I don't know what that is.
Denying what your mental health issues are is a favorite pastime of our people.
But what is that? What's the difference? Like what?
Between what?
Okay,
The feeling of like you're about to freak out.
Yeah, where
That's
it's
a
like,
different
I'm about
manifestation of it, and I don't know if that's a higher level or a lower level or whatever. But what we're talking about is our symptoms of anxiety. We're just describing different ones, and we push down most of the feelings related to anxiety because they're fucking negative feelings.
Yeah.
And we've learned to live with a certain level of anxiety, flying on planes, not getting good sleep, having careers that don't have steady paychecks. Like we've learned to live with a certain level of it anyway. That's my opinion. I mean, we could be wrong. It could be some pill you're fucking taking. Are you taking those vitamins too late at night? Because those vitamins, by the way, those vitamins rule. Athletic greens are fucking awesome, but they got vitamin B in them. I don't recommend anybody
And
take vitamin
B12,
B
yeah.
too close to bedtime.
Yeah, I'm actually
No.
about to go take my shit right now before I hit them woods. Because, yeah,
Well,
shit does hit.
sing the song.
Oh, well, is it cool if I plug your stuff first, Trey?
Yeah.
Would you like me to do that? Tell them all about what you got going on here.
Yeah, you go on Patreon, patreon.com/Trey Crowder. I've been doing my own thing there for a while and about to add some more stuff to it that will be announced real soon and may or may not involve my weekly political podcast, Weekly Skews, which is live at 5 p.m. Pacific, live streamed every Tuesday on all my social media pages, but also you can get it wherever you get all your podcasts or on my YouTube page and all that stuff if you're not free at that time. So, yeah.
Awesome.
And go to wellredcomedy.com. Come see us.
Absolutely.
Is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. You didn't say anything.
I thought you saw the thing that I put up.
I just did when I said it's my turn.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, Into The Abiscuit is a podcast I do with our good buddy DJ, who everybody knows and loves, or you should by now. Yeah, it comes out every Friday-ish. You can also see it on my YouTube page. And I also want to plug Bubba Shot the podcast, a 90s country nostalgia podcast we do together. I also want to plug WellRED show in Knoxville, Tennessee on March 5th. You can get tickets at wellredcomedy.com. I'm so excited. It's a bit of a homecoming for us, or at least Trey and I. Corey to a great extent too. It's the Bijou Theater, which is just it's just peaches. I just love playing that place. So excited about it. March 5th at wellredcomedy.com for tickets.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pumped about that show too. They just turned 113 years old. The Bijou Theater did. By God, happy birthday to them. Can't wait to be there. You can, hey, if you want to get some of my silly stuff, go to CoreyWritesForYou.com. Doing a lot of cool things over there. One of which is This Week in Southern History. And this week, the topic is Mark Twain writing Huckleberry Finn. So that's what we're going to be exploring. That will be out later this week. There's the written version and the audio version and yada, yada, yada. But subscribe. You'd make me very happy. And subscribing will help me be able to put out more stories in the future. And I'm having a great time doing it. And I love everybody that has already subscribed. Appreciate you very much.
Did you ever think of calling it Corey Writes Forrester?
That's not that bad.
I thought that's what you were about to say when you said Corey Writes for you. Sorry.
Corey Writes Forrester. Yeah, you know what I should do is keep making my name more goddamn confusing for everybody. Thank you all for listening to the WellRED Show. We'd love to stick around longer, but we got to go. Tune in next week if you got nothing to do. Thank you. God bless you. Good night and skew. All right, fuckers.
All right.
Yeah.